From the Roman period, what you see is we have some Roman baths brought in light. It's normal to find in the city ruins here and there because Greece was under the Ottoman Turks for 400 years, from the 15th to the 19th century after Christ. The struggle for independence started the year 1821, and a very small part of this country, of what we call Greece today, was independent in 1827. At that time, there was a Greek governor in the country. He formed the first parliament, the first government, and that happened in the first capital city of Greece, which is not the city of Athens. It was a small town in the Peloponnese Peninsula, south from where we are, named Nafplion. Nafplion was the first capital city of Greece, and there the first governor formed the government, the parliament, but he was assassinated by political enemies. And after that, the first king arrived in the country, and he decided, the first king of the country decided to change the capital city from Nafplion to Athens, and he built his palace here. So the building you see on my right hand side was the palace of the first king. The first king of Greece. Do you think that was Greek or to us? And so we have to decide for them. And they sent a king, a prince, with his regency in the beginning in Nafplion. Then he decided, a couple of years later, after he arrived, he decided Athena, that will be the capital city, and he built his palace here, and next to that his wife Amalia, the gardens. Outside the parliament building, it's something that you can watch every hour on the hour. There are the guards, the two guards dressed in the national uniform, the skirt with the 400 pleats. 400 pleats. Well, 400 pleats. How many years Greece was under the Ottoman Turks? 400. Each pleat for each year that we were under the Ottoman Turks. And they stand, these guards, there all day, all night, 24/7, for 1 hour each couple. And they change every hour. It's the changing of the guards. They stand there to guard the tomb of the unknown soldier. So here on the right hand side, the first building, the white one, is the Catholic Cathedral of the city of Athens. This one on the right side, 3 o'clock, is the eye hospital of the city of Athens. And we will pass by the 3 neoclassical buildings, the Athenian trilogy. The first building on the right, with the statues on top of the pillars. Athena on the left. Apollo, the god of music, light, balance, the god that brought the light on the earth, on the pillar which is on the right. So this building is named the Academy of Athens. Around the staircase, you see the 2 statues, the statue of Plato and Socrates. The reason why we have named this building the Academy, the reason why we have named that the Academy is because back in the ancient times, Socrates, Plato, his student, organized an academy, a school, a university, you could tell today, for the students, for those they wanted to educate themselves, to be involved with philosophy. So the academy, being built in the Ionic style, Ionic pillars with spiral tops. This is one of the orders of the ancient architecture, the Ionic. The Doric, we're gonna see that on the Acropolis. It's the plain style, and the Corinthian. So the academy is being built by architects from Denmark. Christianos and Theophilus Hansen are the 2 ones, the brothers that they built, in reality the 3 of these buildings, and the academy is considered as the most beautiful neoclassical building in the world. In the middle, right in the middle, we have the University of Athens. University, which is still in use. This is where the students study literature and history and archaeology. Some of the courses anyway happen here, and all the graduations. And here on the right hand side, it's my favorite one. I know it's the National Library of Athens. Στο Σύνταγμα ακόμα πιο αργά, δεν πρόλαβα να πω τίποτα. Λίγο πιο αργά, λίγο πιο αργά. In this country is mandatory. All the boys serve either the army or the air force or navy for 1 year. Mandatory for all the boys. So, and they do that either after graduation from universities, which means they can postpone a little bit after the graduation from the high school, or some of them decide to do straight after the high school in order to continue with the university studies after that. But anyway, it's mandatory for all of them to serve for 1 year, not ladies, not girls, only boys. It's not a big deal. They have good time. This is, as they say, this is the place where they meet their good friends. Friends for life. They share the same thing for 1 year. So, right hand side. This is another neoclassical building, Ionic columns again, columns with spiral tops. And the horse rider outside that. The horse rider is the national hero, the man who started the revolutionary struggle against the Ottoman Turks. Palace changed and it was turned to the parliament building, and so the last 40 years this first parliament is in use as a museum, is the Historical Museum of Athens. If you want to visit another museum by yourself, you can do it. I recommend this one and the National Museum of Athens as well. We are back to the University Center where the Parliament building is. We're going to have the Parliament building on the left hand side and the main city square. It's a meeting point for the Athenians, the Syntagma Square. Syntagma means constitutions. That's the constitutional square, which is right in front of the Parliament building. Is the square of the democracy, in other words. And we named that the Constitutional Square because back in the 19th century, in the year 1843, when Otto is the name of the first king, the Bavarian king. When Otto was the king of the country, some Athenians, under the leadership of an Athenian politician, Kaleris, decided to gather in front of the palace of the king and ask him to grant them constitutions. The Greeks couldn't imagine that they lived in the country where democracy was born and a king made decisions for them. They can't continue this way their lives. And so it was late at night. They gathered in front of the palace of the king and they started shouting until they woke him up. And he stepped out on his balcony and asked the people, what do you need, what do you want? And honestly, they told him that we want you to sign the constitutions tonight. It sounds a little bit funny to you, but it happened. The king couldn't escape that situation. He had to sign the constitutions. So the first constitutions, and we have it in the Historical Museum of Athens, was signed at that night of September 26th, the year 1843. So the location in front of the parliament where this gathering happened is named Constitutional Square. So, churches, you will notice that there are Europe, buildings that were built back in the 17th century, late 17th century, 18th century. Scaffolding. that's the temple of the Olympian Zeus. And look at carefully the tops of these columns with the beautiful leaves. That's the Corinthian style, Corinthian order, Doric, Ionic, Corinthian. So the Corinthian is the leafy one, it symbolizes the beauty. It's an enormous temple that was built here in the 2nd century after Christ during the Roman period by the Roman Emperor Hadrian in honor of Zeus. And the Athenians, in order to show their appreciation to Hadrian, they built the gate that you see here on my left hand side, known as the Gate of Hadrian. And he passed through the gate the day he came to inaugurate the temple he built in honor of Zeus. Well, in 5 minutes we're gonna be at the Acropolis parking lot. First of all,